Antrim County's cousin is the TCF Center.
Yeah.
Couple of thoughts there. You tell me what you found. Detroit really didn't have, people want to focus on Detroit, but Detroit, as I understand it, really didn't have that big a swing in the percentages from 4 years ago.
In fact, President Trump did better. And the vote turnout was not that much increased compared to what other counties had, other precincts had.
Correct. And the other part of that was I'm hearing, out of TCF Center that, everything was hooked up to some super mainframe computer in some far off land. But that hasn't been proven either, has it? Were those machines hooked up to anything?
So each precinct, and they had 130 some in the building, had its own local area network. So every computer is going to show it was hooked to a network. The question is, was that network internet accessible too? And we have no way to conclude one way or the other. Even those who say they saw it was hooked up to the internet are seeing that icon, and it's the same icon that pops up on your computer, local area network, or one access to the internet. And so I would say it seems unlikely, but more importantly is what evidence do we have then that something untoward happened if they were hooked up to the internet? And that has never come forward. So even if the allegation they were hooked up is true, then you have to go to the next step. Well, now show me what happened because they were hooked up. Sure. And whether we look at the results as a snapshot versus the previous year, or we look at overall voting numbers, whatever it is, there's nothing to show anything out of the ordinary happened there with the overall vote counts. When you talk about experts who say, well, some malicious software could be installed. Well, the overall vote count that came out from there doesn't demonstrate that that happened. In fact, Dr. Shiva often pointed out, if for his theory of an algorithm to be true, it would have to be put on computers in a heavy Republican county to steal votes in such a way as to benefit Mr. Biden. And so the logic of these things just didn't come together. And I think one other important thing I want to point out based on several of these questions is you either have a track that says the fraud is based on equipment, tabulators or computer software that are hijacked, or it's based on invalid ballots, invalid votes. And you have these two tracks. And some people want to leap back and forth and say, well, both of these happened. But suddenly they kind of cancel each other out, right? Because if your ballots are invalid, but the machines are invalid too, how does that doesn't work? And so I've had to approach in committee both of these tracks of thought, but a lot of folks want to just jump around and take from both, and it doesn't work that way.